In this week's Torah portion, we read of the death of our forefather Jacob. Or do we? According to a discussion in the Talmud, and that is drawn upon by the preeminent medieval commentator Rashi, the text itself describes the event in terms of euphemisms, like he was gathered to his ancestors, and he drew up his feet. And so a rabbi in the Talmud and Rashi argue that actually Jacob never died, which leads one other rabbi in the Talmud to wonder then what was the point of the eulogizing and the burial. But more seriously, the subsequent commentators drawing on this idea wonder what the idea that Jacob never died really meant. Could it mean that in essence he was intended to become a character a little like Elijah, who was taken up bodily to heaven and is still, according to tradition, wandering around? Could it be a reference, in essence, to eternal life, to Olam Haba, to the next world in which he would receive his reward, and therefore his eternal soul would never truly die? And other ideas, including one from a mystical rabbi, Rabbi Shner Zalman of Liadi, a Hasidic rabbi, who argues that really what it's talking about is that it is really discussing Jacob's spiritual legacy. That even though his body died, not only did his spirit live on in the sense of an afterlife, but the spirit of who he was, his legacy, his values, his virtues, those lived on in a way that we still feel the reverberations of today in our modern Judaism. And there's a parallel to this in a more modern author, David Brooks, an author and opinion columnist, who discusses the idea of the difference between eulogy virtues and resume virtues. Resume virtues are those virtues that have to do with achievement, with material success, with what you do and what you've achieved, what you've amassed, as opposed to eulogy virtues, which have to do with the things that people will really, truly remember you for. The relationships you create, the values you live by, the love and care and compassion that you share in life, the connections you create, in essence, the spiritual legacy that will be remembered many years after you are gone. And perhaps the ultimate lesson of this is not just that we are being comforted by this idea that we will leave a spiritual legacy, but that we're also being inspired to do everything that we can now, hopefully many years before any eulogy will ever be written for us, to do the things that will create that spiritual legacy, that will ensure that we have many eulogy virtues to be remembered by, to leave behind, and that many people will be affected by our lives because of what we do, because of how much we care, how much we love, and the values we teach and live by.